My name is Ghostboy259, and I played Scritchy Scratchy. As much as I love me a good indie game, itch.io is a site I've barely scratched the surface of. No pun intended, based off of the title of the game. One day while I was rendering something and I just needed to occupy a little bit, I looked up some of the other clicker and idle games they had on there, and lo and behold, I found and quickly fell in love with Scritchy Scratchy. I played and finished the demo twice, enjoyed it, but since the game didn't seem endless or like it was going to take a very long time to beat, I didn't buy the full version when it came out. That is, until I saw my good friend and sexy streamer Nico Hart playing the game, and it wasn't long before he convinced me that if I bought the game, then I could make a video about it, thus justifying the money and the time to play the game, so here we are. Everyone please leave a comment saying thanks, Nico. While I did not stream this game at twitch.tv/ghostboy259 or upload any VODs on youtube.com/realityescapeplays, you are of course more than welcome to go follow me on them. If you'd like to support me on Patreon or join my Discord to recommend me different games to play, you can find the links at realityescape.ca, and feel free to subscribe for 2 videos a week on games you've maybe never heard of. In case you're not familiar, I have another channel called Reality Escape, and the very first video on that channel currently has over 1.5 million views, and it's about idle and clicker games. Something that annoyed quite a few people who watched that video is that I said I don't pay for clicker games or idle games, and I especially don't pay for them for games that I know aren't going to last terribly long. Not a lot of games have demos, not a lot of games actually last long enough for me to justify putting in the time because I just don't feel like I'm being active enough while playing. But in reality, Scritchy Scratch Me cost me $6 Canadian and lasted me about 16 hours of almost always active gameplay. And if I had played any other game for that kind of value, I'd honestly be pretty happy with it. I think it just hurts because when I get into these shorter clicker games, I just want so much more out of it, and there's a little bit of divide between people who have played this game that I'll get into later. Developed by Lunch Money Games, Scritchy Scratchy is a game about living the American dream, aka becoming the richest human ever to live via scratch and win tickets. You'll start off with a day job of just doing dishes, and slowly but surely you'll be able to afford a scratch and win ticket. And then of course with those earnings you can buy more and more and more until you scratch a ticket that kills you and life resets. You'll have to scratch tickets manually to start, but as you get skill points you can unlock things to help, like an automatic scratching robot and a fan that blows tickets toward the robot so you don't even have to drag it into the robot. In the demo, the game wasn't really idleable. The fan didn't last long enough and there was no way to buy tickets continuously, but in this version they did add a longer battery life for the fan. I think it's maybe 5 or 10 minutes or something like that, as well as a machine that automatically buys tickets for you and a cat that redeems them for you. But by the time you get to it all, you've already kind of hit the end game, and it's really just for grinding purposes to get the last achievements out. Every ticket is different. Sometimes you just need to match 2 symbols, sometimes there's a worm hiding in the apple tree and it can cause you to lose money. If you have the trash can, you can throw away bad ones. But if you have a large pile of tickets, sometimes it's just worth it to eat the loss because otherwise it'll just take too long to sort it out. And regardless of whether or not you win or lose the ticket will get XP, and leveling up the ticket will make the payouts better. Once you hit a certain threshold, you'll unlock the next ticket, and you can improve your chances of winning tickets with scratch luck. And if you're doing them manually, then the newer tickets are harder to scratch and you'll need to increase your coin strength and scratch size. It will also affect your auto scratcher to a certain extent, although normally it's a few steps ahead of you in terms of what it can and cannot scratch, and in the case of the machine, its strength will also affect its speed. There is a case to be made of just buying tickets where you can't lose any money on them and stocking up on those. It wasn't uncommon for me to just buy whatever had the highest reward but had no negative, and then just idle that for a bit, as much as you could idle. Thankfully, this game works with an auto clicker. I know some people consider auto clickers cheating in the world of clicker games, but for me, it's purely an accessibility option. I've had wrist problems for the last 15 years of my life, and when I play any sort of game or type for too long, I get a lot of pain. So I can't exactly justify clicking 5,000 times an hour for a game, and the allowing of auto clickers just helps that out a lot. So using this, it becomes a lot easier to buy tickets where you can't possibly go in the negative, then hold down the auto clicker to redeem them all at once, and keep doing that until you feel like you can eat a few losses in a row, or you've upgraded your scratch luck enough to the point where you should be alright. Should you go into the negative, fear not. There is an overarching storyline with the game about a secret caller on the other line who really wants this winning ticket or something. And if you end up in the negative, you can sign for a loan, which will give you $5 over the red, but you'll have a 6,000% loan to pay back. You can get multiple of these without a problem. I don't know if there's a limit or a max, but each loan you have will have a negative effect. Sometimes it's things I didn't care about, like scratch size, because I wasn't playing manually almost at all after about an hour. And sometimes it's 30% less income or 30% more expensive tickets. It's not really something you can't come back from, although it will take a while, so if you really want to save your run and max out how many prestige points you get, it is worth it. And when you're in the late game, well, 1 or 2 plates can just boost you right back into relevancy enough to get to where you want to be. Later on in the game, they also introduced the egg timer, which speeds up the gameplay, and this is like the equivalent of an active meter I see on a lot of games. Basically, if you're idling, you'll still be doing things, but in order to truly idle, you'll have to keep an auto clicker on the fan. But if you're actively looking at the screen and paying attention to what's going on, then you only have to click the fan once or twice every few minutes, and then you can make sure you've got the egg timer going, which just speeds up the entire process. It mostly comes in handy when you're trying to rush things or go for the speedrunning achievement, but when you've unlocked it, you're already at the end of the game, and you're already in the late game stages, and the last 4 ticket types before the end go by in a breeze as it is. You grind a lot less to get these than you grind for, say, the second or third catalog of tickets. Every ticket has a small chance to jackpot. Jackpots give you more prestige points as well as a ton of money. There's an achievement for getting jackpots on every single ticket in a single run, which by the end is just a waiting game, but statistically it will happen. With the full auto setup, you can basically just buy 25 at a time, wait, scratch the ticket, see if it's a jackpot, then move on to the next one. It's also in this sense that the game is not truly forever idleable, mainly because the cat will separate potential jackpots from not, and eventually the stack will be so big that you can't buy anymore until you actually go through and sort those out. And you can't do that quickly, it just takes time to go through those. There's also a limit of how many tickets you can buy at once, so eventually the table just will get full, although it will take a while. You'd have to be gone for a couple hours at least. There are other achievements to get. I went for all of them because the game is so short for its genre, but also very fun, and I just wanted to see if there was something like big secretive at the end besides achievements. The speedrunning one, where you have to beat the game in under 30 minutes, I had to do 4 times before it worked. The first was my mistake. The ticket that can kill you can also kill your trash can or your cat. The next 2, it glitched and I couldn't claim it for some reason, which I heard others also had that issue. And then the last time I did it, it was by accident. I was just farming prestige points so I could finish the game off, and I realized, oh, I'm actually going fast enough that I could probably just win. I'm not sure if the reason I couldn't win or not was like patched out, or if I just got unlucky or what, but I've noticed a few small changes since I first picked up the game already in the last week or so. Mostly when you started redeeming tickets from your pile before your cat got to them, it would turn your cat off, and that's no longer the case now. The achievements just give you little points that you can spend on cosmetics, and there's special cosmetics for buying the supporter pack. There's way more points than cosmetics. I assume they intend to add more, but there's like cosmetics cost like 15, 20 points, and there's like 400 in the game or something like that. So I don't know if there's intention to do more with these, but it's kind of just a little side thing. I'd say the 2 hardest achievements for me to get were smashing the 2 plates in a row, because I'm just a god gamer with amazing dreamlike RNG, so it was very hard for me to do such a thing intentionally. It was quite literally the last one I got. And then just maxing out the prestige tree. You can only get a max of 2,058 per run, which is with getting all the jackpot bonuses on every ticket type, and then by the last 3 to 5, maybe even 6 runs, you've kind of already figured out your playing style and what works best for you, so the new upgrades are generally just filling in playstyles that don't mean much to you or won't make a difference in how you play, and you're kind of just going through the motions for another 20 to 30 minutes again. For example, there's hotkeys, but it's one of the last things you upgrade. There's a plate meta that never really takes off. The plate meta is just there to help you get another achievement where you get $20 million without buying a scratch and win ticket. There's a bunch of rewards for scratching manually, but to be honest with you, the last 2 catalogs of tickets I never once scratched manually, to the point where I don't even know how those games work or what they look like, because by that point it's kind of unnecessary. You don't need to do that, and I always went for the most idle playstyle I possibly could. So unfortunately, those last runs do get a little repetitive. I don't know if there's a way to like optimize your time or something like that with it. So unfortunately, those last few runs just do get really repetitive because you're mostly just playing the way you've already found to be the most effective. And I can't imagine there's any world where playing manually is better than playing in the idle sense, because it's just so much faster. There's a whole mechanic with this little machine that you see here and the final tickets and stuff, but I don't want to spoil that in case you're interested in getting the game yourself. But if you know what it is, I will say for those who have been through it, I really do like it. It's a very interesting mechanic and a very, very interesting ending. Now, whether it's just a quirky way to end the game or it's building to something bigger, I'm leaning towards the former, but it's still very well done and unexpected. It's something I never thought I would see. It's something that can only be done in this game, which I think is really cool. Although I will say that at the very end, even if you have the game muted, it still makes a loud noise. So, I don't know, just be prepared for that. I think the length of the game is probably my biggest issue with it and the most decisive point I've seen, even in the positive reviews, if only because I had so much fun with this and I loved the premise and I just wanted it to keep going, but there's nothing else to do after about 10 to 13 hours. There is a challenges tab, which leads me to believe there will be further updates, although if it's something like don't use this ticket or your scratch size is really small, it doesn't really interest me. And this is really just a game that I was hoping to put, 1,000 hours into, or even a month, even a week would have been nice. Now, for the sake of this video and my entire life, I'm glad that wasn't the case, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily want to put that much time into it, but this is where it starts to get a little divisive. As I said, this game has already changed my opinion when it comes to buying clicker games in general. I'm definitely a kind of person that says, how do you put value on your time when you're buying a game? And while I don't believe in the $1 per hour of gameplay is the end all to be all, I do consider it a lot when I'm thinking about how to spend my money in this sort of economy. I have the game on a budget. I'm not making a lot of money right now. And it's the big reason I almost always buy games on sale or in bundles, and also why I barely play AAA games. I have not paid full price for a AAA title since Mass Effect Andromeda, I think, which was a long time ago. I have played tons of these little browser clickers or YouTube playables that only last maybe a day or two, especially last year when I was like really deep into my mental funk. And while they do entertain you briefly, if I'm gonna get invested in a clicker game again, I want it to last a while. Not like NGU Idle 4 years a while, which, I just recently finished, but something I could really sink my teeth into. I don't know what the challenges hold, so I don't want to make judgments on them without even seeing them first. I don't know if they plan on extending the current gameplay loop, although I would doubt so. I can't imagine they would release the game having not done that, and I'm sure it adds significant challenges to development at this point. But on the surface, the game is really fun, and I think that's kind of the problem for a lot of people, is that universally the game is super, super fun, the concept is super fun, but the game just isn't very that deep for people who play a lot of clicker games. It's surface level, and it's great surface level, but I don't think I will ever open this game again, and it's a shame because I want to open this game again, but I think even with the challenges, I think I'll have a hard time finding a reason to come back to this. If you're a beginner to the clicker world, maybe the most you've ever done is played Cookie Clicker for, a couple hours or a couple weeks or something, then I can see you liking this quite a bit, although I'm not sure how likely you would be to pay for a game of this genre, considering a majority of these games are free and then use microtransactions to make money. Once you buy this game, there is no microtransactions, there's nothing else to spend money on besides the supporter pack, which doesn't give you any tangible benefits. But the core visuals and the core gameplay are really, really fun, and it's really, really satisfying on a first glance, and I'm sure that's doing wonders for their sales department. This is definitely a game, though, where I don't think I would have the word idle in the Steam tags, because if you're a long-time player of these games like me, you'll probably love the gameplay concept and the gameplay loop, but you'll want more depth and a reason to keep playing, and it's very hard to find one at this point, unfortunately. Look, as far as I know, all the systems work as intended. The late game gets a little tedious, but you enjoy the game enough that you want to finish it off. Whether it's more upgrades or a new mechanic or more automation or something else, the game just left me wanting a little bit more. But for what I paid for it and the time I spent playing it, up until that very final grind where I just had to do 2 or 3 or 4 runs just to get all the points, I really enjoyed it. It is absolutely the epitome of addictive gameplay. It is such a great concept. It reminds me of when Balatro first came out and everyone was like, how have we not done this before? And I hope that this idea is either expanded upon or they use what they've learned here to come back bigger and better than before. Obviously the game just came out, so I'm not going to start saying that they should do this and this and this, because I'm sure they just like to relax and take in the feedback. But unfortunately for me, I just didn't find enough of a difference between this and the demo. The demo already adds a lot. So what I would recommend is if you're interested in playing this game, go find the demo. Play it for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Don't finish the demo, because if you do, you're kind of spoiling the game for you. Just play a little bit, see how it feels, and if you like that, then I think you can buy the game and you'll enjoy a good 10, 15, 20 hours, however long it takes you. But for now, my name is Ghostboy259 and I played Scritchy Scratchy. Next time, I'll play something else. Thanks for watching.